Hello and welcome to the Hallow George Lucas Talk Show Spectacular. I am Watto. Just kidding. That was my Halloween costume. It's me, Watto. Were you surprised and confused? I'd like to introduce here with me, as always, my new son, the original Baby Yoda. Surprise! It's the original Baby Yoda! I tricked you! We all love Hallowato. Hallowato is one of the spookiest holidays. Hallowato, as we all know, is celebrated on November 1st. And it is the holiday of Halloween supplies and decorations going on deep discount. It is a Watto tradition to only celebrate Halloween the day after Halloween, when it is more fiscally responsible. Let's look at the hashtags. Hashtag Emira John Ross Bowie. Hashtag The Big Bang Wookiee. Hashtag David Ross Bowie was in Labyrinth. Okay. I don't know if you can put ellipses in a hashtag. I don't know if they allow that. Hashtag Kerri Kenney. Kerri Kenney. Kerri Kenney. Hashtag Reno 91138. Hashtag Cake Luke. That's a deep Kerri Kenney reference. I hope some of you get that. Look, I want to get the show started because somewhere in the process of putting the mask on and taking it off, Watto lost a headphone. Oh, I think I found it now. Okay, here it is. I got to tuck it back in to my ear flaps. Ah, there we go. The nice surround sound. Well, now that I've solved that, listen. I'm going to put the mask back on me and the mask back on Baby Yoda to trick George. Shh. Don't tell him. And let's do a little crowd warm-up. What do you do if something very spooky happens? I want to see in the live chat. What do you do if something very spooky happens? Yeah, okay, this is good. Ah, yoinks, zoinks, yips. Great. And what do you do if you want to scare someone? You want to be the spooker. You want to spook George or one of our two wonderful celebrity guests. What do you do? Yeah, throw some booze out there. They'll know that you aren't jeering them. They'll know it's Hallowato. And of course, what do you do if you are suddenly overcome with a sense of dread at the prospect that this election is only, 48 hours away? Jesus fucking Christ. The scariest thing of all, having to face reality. Oh boy. Is this the last moment of darkness or is this the last moment of hope? Who knows? Let's start the show.
from retired filmmaker George Lucas.
It's a mistake.
Oh no.
To George Lucas, Watto and the original Baby Yoda.
No! No, this is me, Watto, the original Baby Yoda.
No, it is me, Watto.
No,
it's actually me, Watto.
No, you and George and Patrick have dressed up to be Watto for Halloween.
No, fuck this! This is Watto. Don't step on my turf. How dare you? You are my friends, and you mock me on Watto? The second
Watto, you are definitely not the real Watto.
Unbelievable. How dare you? George, you didn't even spring for the higher quality deluxe mask. At least Patrick and I got the mask that's the proper blue with the rooted hair. You got some cheap brown shit. Yeah, that's better. We're the fucking skinned corpse of your Darth Maul mask, you murderer!
Hello, I'm George Lucas, creator of Star Wars.
I'm Watto, the
Halloween fun.
Space through. Watto.
Happy Halloween.
Thank you. Everything is on deep discount.
But that was actually the real original Baby Yoda.
No, it's not. We've gone over this. This is the real original. No, I'm sorry. No. This is the real original Baby Yoda.
Well, I can't tell if you're doing a character bit now, Watto.
I'm not. The mask is off. I'm just as myself now.
You're that good, but when you do bits, sometimes they're very convincing.
Don't blame me for being a good actor. You made me that way.
I won't blame you. That's my fault.
That was fun. I'm glad we didn't tell Watto about that. It worked out much better.
It's really good.
I hated that. It's awful. This is my favorite day. This is the second most important Toydarian holiday, Watto.
What's number one?
Rosh Hashanah.
Sure.
Right, makes sense.
Sure.
Look at this stuff I got for cheap.
That was very spooky.
Oh, wow. I hope that becomes a part of the regular rotation, Watto. I hope this is not just a 1 week only candelabra.
Of course not. No, it will go up on the shelf with our 2 new characters.
That's good.
We got 2 new castmates this week.
What are the 2 new characters?
Let's take a look.
Skeledog.
Oh.
I like him.
Very good.
He's saucy.
Yeah.
He's a little saucy.
Who's 2?
Why, Skelebat, of course.
Oh, no.
Oh,
wow.
Well,
those are great, Watto. I'm really happy you got those. They're great additions to the show.
75% off. That's the spirit of Halloween.
Well, I want everyone to know that we did not. Patrick and I knew we were going to surprise Watto with the Watto Halloween mask. But we did not know that Watto was going to have a Watto Halloween mask.
Nope.
Also, nope. I think mine is same make.
It's not.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I'm all but certain. Let's look at the tag here. All but certain we got the deluxe. Adult deluxe latex mask. George, you got an adult mask. You know why?
Yeah. Right.
Because Patrick might be a messy bitch who lives for the drama, but George, you a basic bitch.
No, I'm not basic.
You got that basic mask.
No,
Patrick
I got the
and
adult
I live
mask.
at deluxe style. We live
a true adult doesn't need an extra modifier in there.
Deluxe mask.
Deluxe.
No, I'm not deluxe. It's all at base. I'm a storyteller. I am a basic bitch.
That's true
in that sense.
That is true, George. You are.
I'm proud of being basic. I set the standard for what movies are made like now.
That's very basic of you, George.
That's
we should bring in.
Let's bring in our
guests, George.
Absolutely, let's bring in our guests.
Well, what about the tradition? What about the new tradition?
Oh, this is a new tradition. This is for our guests. Can you put in the private chat how you would like to be introduced? It can be serious. It can be a joke. However you want. But we're letting the guests tell us how they want to be introduced.
You type in whatever you want, and Watto, the announcer of this show, will announce you as such. Should we surprise the guests and pretend we're all Watto?
Yeah, sure.
They'll never know.
Okay, we got one.
catch them by surprise.
All right.
Ready? Let me get these ready. Okay. This is going to be so surprising.
Be very. Oh, that's a good one.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know him as a vaguely familiar character, and you know her.
Watto, read it again. Read it again.
What did I get wrong?
You missed a word at the end.
Vaguely familiar character actor.
There you go.
I said actor. Patrick, this Watto mask is bringing out the worst in you. You know him as a vaguely familiar character actor, and you know her as, quote, that bitch from that show, end quote. Ladies and gentlemen, John Ross Valley and Kerri Kenney Silver.
Welcome to the show.
Wow, that is just a lot of very thinly veiled anti-Semitism looking back at me.
Wafer thin.
Guys, we're not all Watto. Only one of us is Watto.
I'm the only real Watto, which means I can get away with it. I'm allowed to be anti-Semitic because it's in my data.
Right.
I was rendered this way.
Sorry for tricking you. That was just a little bit of Halloween fun. Welcome to the show, Kerri and John.
Thank you. That was some serious trickery, guys.
It was, and I think it means that now we can have some serious streetery.
I feel it very necessary to submit my vote, and I'm doing two things here. I'm flattering my co-star and I'm establishing my indie cred, but I'm going all in on hashtag Cake Luke.
Cake
You
Luke!
may be the only person watching that gets that reference.
No, Griffin. Sorry, Watto. One of the OG Watto got it actually earlier. We're not alone, and there's a couple people in the chat too who put Mr. Fireman on a mixtape or two in the 90s.
Oh,
Let's say this. If you are familiar with the reference, type out hashtag let them hear cake.
Yes.
How did you guys spend your Halloween?
Oh.
Halloween is usually amazing in Los Angeles. I have to say, I don't think I speak out of turn here. Halloween really, LA really throws down for Halloween. Both sides of the hills really light up. They do a lot of cool stuff. What we did this year was we put out a bowl of candy and a pump thing of sanitizer, and a sign accompanying it that insisted that people only touch the pieces of candy they were going to take.
How fun.
It was festive. Yeah, it was super festive.
And then you stayed hidden in your house.
Very spooky.
Peeking through the peephole. That's fun.
Yeah. So so it was kind of a win-win because I got to experience no joy and look like a sex offender as I peered through my Venetian blinds at children crossing my lawn. It was really a win-win for everybody.
To my life, John.
Yeah. Oh, okay. How was yours, Kerri? Kerri, you get less pedestrian traffic in your neck of the woods. What was it like?
I had zero pedestrian traffic because I was in a trailer in the desert, dressed as a police officer for the television, for the comedy masses. We wrapped a season last night. Wow. So during All Hallows Eve, I was actually sitting watching Cedric Yarborough dressed like Bill Cosby with a fog machine doing a bit for Reno 911. And that was a lovely way to spend Halloween. And my son was, he was in virtual reality. So for him, it he didn't know. We told him it's today. So he doesn't know. We just put some candy in front of him and it was great.
You changed the date in the VR system. So it went from October 29th to straight to November 3rd.
He also thinks he's 13. He's really 15. So it bides us some time to keep him off the road when he's actually able to get a driver's license.
Yeah.
Good call. Yeah. Good call. Yeah, we just bind our kids' feet, but yours is better.
Oh. It's a way.
Did either of your families dress up at all, John or Kerri?
It sounds like Kerri was in costume anyway, professionally.
Well, that's why I asked the families. I was curious. Both of you have full households.
Yeah, we my wife and I just for the gram, we dressed up as and this is either going to kill or it will be greeted with silence. We dressed up as Mark and Bonnie from the NXIVM cult.
Good friends.
Yeah.
Friends of mine.
Okay, so all right, it's the right crowd, I guess. Okay.
But if that's going to kill
thought of
anywhere,
that.
Bonnie would kill here because.
Oh my God! Of course. What am I saying? So we dressed up as the director of What the Bleep, which is actually the first time I've ever worked with somebody who I dressed up as for Halloween, and young Baru. That's right. Of course. How could I forget?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And we got a few other people. We have a few other NXIVM in the chat here. That's fantastic. That is fantastic. I wish you had transitional lenses on. I don't own transitional lenses, regrettably. I just went with my readers, but thank you for having a keen eye for detail, Daisy Bark.
Now, John, were the kids' costumes, did they fit into the scenario in some way, like young sex cult members or?
Volleyball.
No,
branding irons. Did they
we
dress
let them
up?
go rogue.
Branding irons.
No,
Okay.
we let them go rogue. Nola's my 13-year-old. She went as bloody and ash-covered Veronica Sawyer from the end of Heathers.
Classic.
And actually it was super 80s in the household because Walt went as Johnny Lawrence. So we were, it was a real cinephiles Halloween over here. What did Kai do anything, or you kept it a secret from him? So he wasn't aware.
He didn't do anything, but my son, he's 15, but I think like you guys would dig him. He's super smart and super clever, but he also is like, he gets references to things that his old mom doesn't get, but his whole life is steampunk. So for like the last 6 years, he's been like steampunk guy.
Cool.
And I expected to come home this morning and have him still sitting in a steampunk costume, but he did not this year.
So is it like a top hat with like copper tubing running out of it, the whole nine, or?
Well, it depends on the occasion. Like bar mitzvah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Not just Halloween. Okay.
Yeah, no. Bar mitzvah was bow tie steampunk. Like going to school is sometimes just like, sweatpants on the bottom steampunk.
Right.
With
steampunk formal versus steampunk casual.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Or like Christmas steampunk is a whole other ball of wax. So.
Right. I mean, John, he's not going to dress up as a sort of bronze tie steampunk every day. You only bring out the bronze tie
in the fall.
And the silver spats. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I love what's great about doing steampunk at a bar mitzvah is that it envisions an alternate reality where Jews were welcome in Victorian England. Which I think is really, really fun. Oh, and there were dirigibles and shit, but also,
they were
a very inclusive society. Celebrated, in fact.
They
yeah,
were
it's lovely.
Celebrated with very expensive candy bars where you could get scoops of M&Ms, just like the good old days.
This is the candy I've been eating just now. They're 75% off. Kit Kat Witch's Brew.
Are they green?
So they're green, and I thought, they'll just taste like Kit Kat, but they'll be green. I don't know if it's a psychosomatic thing, but they taste weird. Like they're not marked as having any flavor. They're supposed to be normal, but Jesus Christ, do they taste fucking weird.
Can you put a bowl of them and some regular ones into a dark room and blindfold yourself and do a blind taste test and see what's up?
Oh boy!
Like right now?
Right now.
The problem is I don't know if I have regular ones. I have Reese's Bats.
I doubt they taste like bats, but
I hope so. I mean, if we're lucky, Hershey's Fangs.
Okay.
What are Hershey's Fangs?
That looks like a picture of you on the bag, Watto.
Those are chocolate teeth?
Yes.
White chocolate teeth?
And then Reese's Ghost. They're white. These are white chocolate teeth. You hold them over your mouth like this.
Right.
So it just looks like you have dirty teeth?
I don't know. Let's find out.
Okay.
It looks like you have dirty
I feel like
fangs.
It's weird that we can't do candy cigarettes anymore, but we can eat teeth.
Dirty teeth.
Yes.
Right.
It's
Well,
like chocolate.
I think because teeth are non-addictive. Like if kids started eating teeth, it takes a lot to develop the taste for that. Whereas with nicotine, it's right away, you're hooked. Whereas I think you'd have to eat teeth for quite a while before you started to be comfortable.
It's uncanny, really.
Wow.
Wow.
Put the candy in your mouth.
Implants when you can just buy those and
the trunk, Watto, the trunk.
Oh.
It's very strange to me that those were 95% off because they're wonderful.
75%. This is the thing. This is the delicate dance of Halloween. You got to go the day after Halloween. It's only 75%. The next couple of days will go lower, but you'll miss out on the good shit like candy meth tea.
Like the tea.
Right.
Okay.
I got a package from George in the mail yesterday, and there was a note that just said Happy Mandoween, and it's just a bunch of Mandalorian fruit snacks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, George gave me a bunch of that shit too.
I'm diabetic. I'm not going to eat these. I don't know what to do with.
I'm famously diabetic, so my Halloween candy is this banana and an apple.
That's great. That's great.
Which is it's healthy but fun.
It is fun. That is fun, George.
John, what is your history with George's work?
It's pretty sincere. You know, I'm of an age where I was New Hope came out the weekend before I turned 6. So it really just caught me at a spot where I was very into spaceships and a laser sword, which is what I called it for a year, despite my parents correcting me constantly. But yeah, I see. I tend to see the canonical works on their opening weekend, and my son and I are getting into it. Actually, no. Both kids really enjoy the movies and the various offspring. And I actually just finished playing, doing a ton of gaming onto this pandemic. I just finished playing Fallen Order for the PS4, which is a genuinely delightful game. It was really, really fun.
A lot of climbing.
The climbing isn't for everyone, I'll grant you, but every once in a while you get to customize a lightsaber, and I think at the end of the day that balances out really nicely.
Right.
But yeah, so I'm definitely a fan. I go back, and I actually watched American Graffiti within the past couple years, if you want to get real specific, and loved that too. It had been a while, but it's such a.
There's your poster, George.
Yeah, it's a really interesting piece of work, George, because it very much there's not much in the way of a ticking clock, and I don't mean that as a burn. It's just that it feels like a really good 70s like slice of life film with a phenomenal cast. It's a hangout movie, and it's wildly influential as such. Without that, there's no Dazed and Confused. There's no any number of things, and it's it was. I'm a fan. I'm an absolute. I'm definitely a fan.
Now, did you see the full American Graffiti trilogy? Now, I don't mean to put you on the spot here because it's great that you saw American Graffiti, but there's more American Graffiti, which came out a few years later.
No, I've not seen 2 or 3, and I'll tell you why. Because I already know that Paul Lamette's supposed to die, and I'm not going to dwell on it.
Yeah, you start out, you're having fun more with American Graffiti, and you're like,
okay, George,
I want more, and then you got more American Graffiti, and you think,
and
great,
is there a third one? Is what even still more?
Even more.
Yeah, where are you going to go next?
The third one is just Dazed and Confused, isn't it?
We're going to make a prequel. The parents, what were they doing? Radioland Murder.
Really?
Yeah. It's canonically it's a trilogy because there's a genetic through line where it's like, well, we've seen the stories of these people. Let's go back and see what happened one night at a radio station.
Where were you in 32?
That's golden age of radio.
Okay.
So you have that to look forward to now, John.
I definitely do. I love someone being very shocked that Radioland is canon. I'm as surprised as you are, Andy. I'm as taken aback as you are.
Now, Kerri, your dad worked in radio, didn't he?
Yeah, my dad is still a voiceover guy, but
Yeah.
my dad, you guys are East Coasters.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Well,
when I say
George
this
lives
name,
George lives in San
I'm
Francisco.
at Skywalker
So.
Ranch.
Right.
oh, okay. So you're on my side, George.
He's a Southern California
'cause it
boy.
is-
And George loves driving around listening to the radio. That's all the American Graffiti was about. You could
That's
quiz
true.
George on this for hours. He'll answer any piece
Any
of
question.
arcane trivia about West Coast radio. Try him.
Well, I don't know anything about West Coast radio because
Oh,
I was raised in New York City and Connecticut. So my dad was back then when I was a kid, my dad was Don Imus's sidekick. So
What?
my dad did all the character voices on his show.
Wow.
And my dad was the voice of Lion-O, Lord of the Thundercats.
What?
Come through that window for me. I'll catch you. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Kerri,
my
I had no
dad
idea.
Still is my dad was and still is the Cocoa Puffs bird, the voice of
I didn't know
Cocoa
that.
Puffs bird.
You're-
Count Chocula. Yeah.
Wait a
so
second.
yeah.
You're telling me that your pop is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs?
My dad is literally cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Yeah.
You're telling me that you're Countess Chocula?
I had never looked at it that way, but am I Princess
royalty.
Chocula? I might be Princess
Princess Chocula.
'cause
Yes,
I'm not
absolutely.
married to my dad.
Princess
Never
Yeah.
have been.
That's a really good point. That's a really, really good point.
Great point.
Yeah.
Great
Watto.
point.
Good point.
I would also say that to ask a serious question about this, because obviously the Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs was fun at the time, but was that hard for him? You know, because we want to take that kind of thing seriously now. When he went Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, was that ever difficult?
No, he got hired because he already was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Oh,
my.
Yeah.
Right. So representation matters. He was actually shining light on an issue
Well,
Yeah.
they
at the
were
time
they
where
put
few
out
would
a
discuss
thing.
it. Yeah.
This was pre-internet, and they put
Yeah.
out a mailer, and they
Mhm.
said, "Who is already cuckoo for these Cocoa Puffs?" And my dad was like, "Well, I am," and my mom was like, "Well, you better call the number." So he
Yeah.
did, and they're like, "Come on down," and they were like, "How do you feel about them?" And he was like, "I'm crazy for them." And they're like, "Would you say you're cuckoo for them?" And he was like, "Yeah, I would actually." And then they're like, "Could you lean in a little more?" Because there was a mic there, and they were like, "Say it again." He was like, "Well, I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs." And coincidentally, he's also in real life a cartoon bird. So they filmed him
Wow.
Convenient.
Sure.
saying it.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. He wasn't pulling some Mickey Rooney shit. He was.
No, he was not.
Yeah.
What was Mickey Rooney shit?
This is great, Kerri. I mean, now I'm realizing Halloween must have been such a big event in your family if your father was Count Chocula, because the residuals, baby, they must have been flowing every October. Or I guess maybe they would process. You wouldn't get them until November.
Right. The
Yeah.
attorney would, his business manager would show up like a month later with a sack of money. Yeah.
Right. But
And
maybe he's
free
watching the
cereal.
TV with a counter. He's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, doing the math with his abacus, you know?
No, but Halloween was super fun at my dad's house because he lived at the end of a cul-de-sac, and he would get very excited, to have kids come to the house. And one year they put flyers around. This is when the world started to get unfun, when kids were not out after dark anymore. And they put out flyers in his neighborhood saying, "No more our street's too dark. It's too dangerous. Someone's going to get hit. No more trick-or-treating on our street." And my dad went apeshit. And he lit up his house, like skeletons in every window, music going down the street, like, "Come this way." And he hid in a coffin at the end of the driveway, waiting for kids to come so he could. Wow. I don't remember if anyone came that year.
Wow.
But who doesn't want to go to Count Chocula's house for Halloween?
Did people in the neighborhood know?
Nobody cared.
Nobody cared.
Like,
He's no grateful, no goodness, and
I
the
don't think they
cul-de-sac didn't care.
I don't think they knew, because when I say like they, my dad had friends in his neighborhood and stuff, and they liked him, but I don't think anyone knew, like, that guy's the coat. My dad didn't walk around saying that, but my dad was also the host of Bowling for Dollars. So people would see his, when they saw him in person.
I mean, I knew you contained multitudes, but this is blowing
Right.
my mind.
And I mean, and I know I'm very curious about, because I've talked to my buddy Steve. I know he had a number of serials that were put out through General Mills.
Yes.
I know that there was a Jurassic Park serial and an ET serial. I had put out a serial in the 80s called C3POs, but we did that through Kellogg's. But I believe now the Mandalorian serial, I think they're doing is General Mills.
How popular are and were these serials? I'm just curious. 'Cause it's not, I have not heard of them, but that doesn't mean they weren't hugely successful.
I remember C3POs.
C3POs.
They were
Well, 'cause I made a point of making
I
sure
100% remember
Oh.
that. I 100% remember that.
It was very important to me as a famous diabetic to try to make something that was a little bit healthier for kids. So we tried to make it so that there was less sugar and it was less sweet.
Yes.
That's great.
And it did, but it didn't work. People wanted the sweet cereal. ET, although was very. John, did you ever have
What
ET
did
cereal?
ET cereal
No,
look
I
like?
never
'Cause
did.
that
Very
I
different
would-
cereal.
It was very thick peanut butter flavor. It was
I was gonna say,
very.
it was like Reese's Pieces kind of thing. Was it
Yeah,
a
it was very
collaboration with the
buttery.
Reese's
It was
Pieces?
straight up. They just put the Reese's Pieces into a cereal box.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
sounds right up my alley, but
Yeah.
maybe not for you, George, as a famous diabetic.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, okay,
it looks
I'm
a
realizing
little-
it. Yes.
Is it
'cause
supposed to be his fingers?
I think it's supposed to be the shape of his head and his neck, but it looks like a dick and balls. Is
It
what
looks
it
like a
I
dick
think
and
it's
balls.
supposed to be his
Well,
droppings.
his droppings. That's what I thought.
Right.
Yeah.
But it looks. It's a
Yeah.
peanut butter dick and balls.
It's after the Reese's Pieces. That's
I
what
love
you
the
get.
word droppings. Side note.
Mhm.
Anyway.
I love the word dick
when-
and balls.
Now I'm curious on a talent level. When your dad was recording, did he record all of his things just by himself, or was there an ensemble? Because there was Blueberry, there was Frankenberry.
Oh.
That was very much a trio of characters that were part of
And-
that world.
And did they hang out in real life? I want to believe that they were friends in real life.
Okay, that's an interesting question. I thought you were going one direction. I assumed you were asking about Thundercats, because they did record all together at once. But
Right.
you were asking, was he in the room with Blueberry
And Frankenberry.
and
Frankenberry.
Frankenberry?
Yeah.
George, I don't think so. I think they had to record. It's hard to get them all in. They're very busy, all of them.
Yeah.
Right.
And they
And
keep
Blueberry
different
was hard to
hours.
find a lot. You know, he's
Yes.
a ghost, right? So
Right.
sometimes you can't see him. I think
Yes.
sometimes he was there and they didn't know it.
Oh,
Probably.
very sneaky, tricky ghost.
Yeah.
Right. And Chocula only works overnights. He only does overnights. Right.
This is true. That's when
yeah.
he's really on
Yeah.
and he
Right.
sleeps in the day.
Yes. What about Yummy Mummy?
Never met him. He was like, I don't want to say a dick, but he really kept to himself.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
He was kind of the Garrett Morris of the group. He
Yeah.
didn't
He
mingle
really
as much.
was. That's a great analogy.
Yeah,
A little bit older and riddled with cocaine problems.
absolutely. That's
Yeah.
always the vibe I got from Yummy Mummy.
John, let's talk about this.
Ooh.
How was this?
Yes,
was-
let's talk about this.
That was top 5 career moments and a record number of likes. Also, it must be said. Yeah, the fun thing about working on The Big Bang Theory was that you would meet these people. Not just science fiction icons. I met Bob Newhart on that show. I met Stephen Root, who to me is an icon. If you're a vaguely recognizable character actor, Stephen Root is the gold standard. You know, Mark Hamill is so good at being an icon in the sense that he does not tire of patiently answering questions. And I even mentioned in the caption there, though, I went at it. I kind of came at him through a window in that I had seen him in a comedy on Broadway in the early 80s. I had just gone to see, I saw him in The Nerd, a Larry Shue play that I saw on Broadway in 1987. And he was visibly quite psyched to be talking about that chapter of his career
I bet.
rather than, with all due respect, George, any other job he'd done. About
sense.
which he was a little talked out. That said, he will answer Star Wars questions. He's super game about it, and he couldn't have been nicer. And he's fantastic at taking selfies because he makes you feel like like he's taking a photo with you rather than just you're taking a photo with him. It's a delicate art, but watch and learn. He's so good at it.
Yeah.
And he's very good on that episode of Big Bang. The wedding episode is the one. He's so sharp and so funny, because I think, you know, Luke wasn't really, you know, there's every now and then there'd be funny moments, but it's not a purely comedic character. You know,
no, Han gets most of the jokes. Yeah, but he's got, and I don't know if you guys have seen, Hamill did a What We Do in the Shadows. Last season, I want to say, where he's excellent. He's really funny. It's so fun. It's so fun. I should be watching that show anyway. But yeah, he's great. Super nice guy.
You're saying you're telling everyone to watch What We Do in the Shadows, and I don't know if you're just doing that because Tom Sharpling's in the comments or not. But
oh, I'd forgotten that there's a connection there. I did see Sharpling was in the comments. Yeah. I am not idly flattering him.
Doesn't need a bigger head than he's already got. We don't need.
Sharpling's a chat rat. He refuses.
Let's make something very, very clear. Yeah. When we are talking about Tom Sharpling's big head, we are being very literal about it. He has an enormous head. This is not some sort of metaphor about his ego. He's actually a pretty grounded, humble guy with an enormous cranium.
Large head. You did mention Bob Newhart on the show, and I do want to say he does show up on the show looking a lot like Obi-Wan.
I love him so much.
Right. He weaponized the pause. You know, anytime you take a breath to help a joke land, you should send him a check. He is an absolute magic guy. I will do a very, very quick story from the set of Big Bang. I wasn't even actually in the episode, but one of the cast members knew I would be into this. It was like, hey, Bob Newhart's going to be on the show. I'm going to get you a drive on. Come meet him. And I was like, you bet, absolutely. So I got to meet him, but didn't actually work with him. Apparently, during the course of the week, there came a point where the director came over to Newhart and said, Bob, for this moment here, it might be fun if you do, you know, that sort of trademark Bob Newhart stutter at one point, just to kind of, you know, drag out the laugh a little bit. And Newhart goes, point of fact, it's not a stutter. It's a stammer. And the director goes, oh, okay. I'm sorry. And Bob goes, that's fine. But do you want to know the difference? And the director said, sure. And Bob Newhart goes, a house in Bel Air.
I mean,
he's the goat. He's the motherfucking goat.
God.
I mean,
that's good for him.
It's pretty baller.
Yeah,
he's allowed.
He's totally allowed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Someone's writing air horn sounds in the comments.
Unbelievable. Kerri, I have a question for you.
Yes, Watto.
You've done so much incredible work over the years. You talked about Reno 911, which a lot of people know you for, but of course, all your work with the state. I mean, films such as Wanderlust. You're a luminary. But I would be remiss, and I feel like the chat would never forgive me.
Something painful is coming. Something very painful from deep in my IMDb is coming. I can feel it.
The opportunity to do a deep dive into the character of Gravitina from Buzz Lightyear of Star Command.
Okay.
You thought I was going to yank you.
I thought. Yeah, but let me tell you something. And
he wasn't going to bring up Terror Firmer, where you played woman with eyeball in her cleavage.
No, even that one is not the worst. That's kind of awesome that one of my first credits was woman with eyeball in her cleavage.
I'm going to be honest. I just looked really quick, and the first one that I zoned in on, I was like, that's what I'm going to say.
I am.
After this, we're going to discuss the Barks root beer commercial from the 90s, Kerri.
Actually, dude, that was awesome.
No, it was. It was genuinely great. Those were great. Was that Phil Morrison? Nick Swardson? No kidding. I'd forgotten that.
A baby Nick Swardson.
Oh my God.
Yes, those were classic. But Gravitina, so I say this not to sound like, you know, some sort of, you know, experienced performer. I say this as a old lady who can't remember anything. Things like that, you bring that up and I go like, yes, I remember that it happened. Do I remember anything else about it? No. And that has happened to me recently where people will say, hey, I worked with you on this and you played that one crazy neighbor. And I'm like, yep.
I'm sure that happens with the state where people come up to you and they go, hey, remember we were in the state together, we went to college together, and you're like, there were 18 guys in that group. I can't keep
So I fake it. If they're white and kind of Jewy, I'm like,
yep. Yeah.
You take a guess. Maybe you're a Michael?
Yeah, maybe you're that's the odds are so good on that.
There's a decent chance. These are Gravitina. Gravitina had a planet for a head. Yes. She created her own gravitational system. Zurg hired her to take down Buzz Lightyear, but then she got the hots for Buzz Lightyear.
Are you telling me that isn't a picture of Sharpling?
Solid burn.
Wowie Bowie.
Wowie Bowie.
That's a
Wowie Bowie's
sort
pretty
of
good.
Star Wars reference that I will never get, but
no, it's just a reference to his enormous head. That's all. There's nothing deep about it at all. Don't give me that credit.
Maybe she could have been related to you in a good way.
Yeah.
As a compliment. I do two. I'm not my dad. My dad can do any voice. I have two things that I do. Either like super sweet, like, hi, I'm your new teacher and I'm actually a rabbit. And today we're going to go down into the rabbit hole. Or I get, and now I'm going to take your planet and I'm going to eat your face. And then I'm going to take your eyeballs. But nothing in between.
Nothing in between.
So it's not a lot of animation for me, but I do remember her.
Sure.
I never saw it. So that's the first time I've ever seen her in person.
Well,
John,
she's beautiful.
Tell us about Burn Notice, John.
Would you like to know about Burn Notice?
Yeah.
You're maybe the first guest we've ever had on the show who got burned.
100% promise you that is not true. That is, I don't even need to check it. I know that isn't true.
That's not true.
Here's the thing about Burn Notice. Burn Notice was on the air
for Summer about it a few weeks ago, Watto.
Yeah, we talked to Rich.
The man has 69 credits. How am I supposed to keep them straight? I think about how many credits he has, and I'm too busy laughing to remember any one of them.
Burn Notice was on for 27 years. I promise you have had more than one guest who was on Burn Notice. Burn Notice was, what is Burn Notice? Burn Notice was a USA show when USA's brand was Whimsical Homicide. And I did a few of those actually, because I did a monk.
That was when they were welcoming characters.
They were welcoming characters. You're 100% correct, George.
Right this way, please, if you don't mind. Come this way, Kevin.
The key thing I remember about Burn Notice was not something that happened on set. I was in Miami, Coconut Grove to be specific, for a little over 2 weeks. And they would do this thing where I'd work and then I'd have 3 days off. I'd have 3 days off. And if they give you 4 days off, they have to fly you home. 3 days off, you just find something to do with yourself in Miami, which is a great city. And I'm not knocking it at all. But at one point I was like, you know what? I'm going to go snorkeling is what I'm going to do. I am going to go snorkeling. That'll be a fun athletic thing I can do. And I will go snorkeling. And so I gear up and I rent a snorkel and I rent a mask and I rent some flippers and I go onto this boat, and this boat goes way the hell out into open water. We can barely see the shore and it's a really, really choppy day. And I go snorkeling for a little bit and then I come back on the boat and I am wildly crazy sick. I'm just sicker than I've ever been. I don't usually get motion sickness, but there was just something very unique about these circumstances. So I'm hurling my guts out over the side of the boat, so much so that I eventually run out. I start dry heaving. I pop an eye. I got a blood vessel bursts in my eye.
Oh.
I stagger off the boat after a 3-hour tour, and someone comes up to me and goes, with his camera, he's like, dude, you're on Big Bang. Come on, man. We gotta.
Oh, no.
So somewhere out there's a photo of me, like, and honestly, my vision was messed up. I don't think my eyes were looking in the same direction. I think one was kind of off, and I'm a sallow green, and there's probably stuff on my shirt, and hey, bazinga. So that's my fondest memory of working on Burn Notice.
Good.
I'm looking at the Burn Notice IMDb now. I'm surprised we haven't had more guests on from Burn Notice.
There's a lot of people on.
They got a lot of people. They gave a lot of jobs. We got they kept a community going for a while.
lot of ideal GLTS guests on this list, especially if you go into the one episode appearances.
Right.
Kerri, what is the thing? Is there a question that you get asked all the time that you're tired of answering? Much like it's the John saying "bazinga." Is there something that you're like, yes, I've answered this a million times?
I guess the one that is, I don't get tired of it, but it is the one that I get the most is, what was it like to be the only girl, or was it hard to be the only girl in the state? And if people don't know, it was a sketch comedy show in the 90s. That was sort of my first thing, and a lot of people's first thing, everyone's first thing who was in the group. And there were 11 of us, and everybody's really gone on to do, to have nice careers. And at the time we were a college troupe, so it wasn't a thing that we were put together, like we'll take, height and, look and everything and type. So we really just formed organically. And
wasn't there famously, there was a troupe at NYU that was built that way, right? The state was sort of the outsider answer, or am I misremembering?
No, but I know what you're thinking of. No, Mo Willems, who is, a 65-time Emmy Award winning animator and children's book author. He wrote Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus and all those great books, if anyone's a parent. He had a comedy group there called the Sterile Yak, and they were like the gods of NYU comedy.
That's how you guys know Mo?
That's how we know Mo.
Oh, because I knew you guys were tight, but I didn't realize you got to NYU together. That's crazy.
Yeah, so Mo's group would do shows in the lobby of our dorm at NYU. Brittany, Adam Sandler would do something, Sterile Yak would do something, and we wanted to start a group too. And so they said, okay, well, if it's a school sanctioned thing, you have to take everybody. And we were like, well, that's not going to happen. So we sort of did it on our own time and whatever, but it was organic. And the idea of it, like, I played guys just as much as I played girls. Yeah. Guys played girls. So it was never like just the girl sitting in the room. And just, I think in the last few years, it started to become like, you don't say anymore like she's a female comic or it's just like, she does comedy, she happens to be a female who does comedy. So I think that question is phasing out, but that's the one I get a lot.
Yeah.
You never get people asking where they can buy $240 worth of pudding?
All the time, Watto.
But you don't mind that one. That's the difference. You don't mind that
to one. Michael Ian Black's home phone number.
Call a Michael. Happily. Call any Michael. Yes.
Yeah. And just call any Michael, they'll know.
Any Michael.
Yeah.
How was filming these past few weeks? What's been the biggest difference for you doing Reno? During the pandemic.
We were all very worried. It felt like an experiment. We did a pod. We quarantined everybody. We bought out a whole hotel for the entire time. The crew, no one was allowed out. We would travel in a pod to set and back. You had to self-drive. You couldn't stop at the gas station. What's that?
Now this is pod racing.
This is pod race. No, George, we weren't allowed to race.
Oh,
that would have been dangerous.
It's just a slow race then, but someone will get there first, right?
Someone
cruising. Just
by the nature of the way things work, yes, someone always did get there first.
Yeah,
but we didn't reward them.
Right.
But one could probably bet on them, right? You wouldn't reward them, but maybe one would place some bets to try to
bet on it. Oh yeah,
win a child or two in the process. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we would slash people's tires. We would bet on it and then slash people's tires. Like, I bet he's going to be last. And he was every time. Right. But it turned out okay. It was actually, just seeing human faces in person. Like John and the family came to visit one day. And we sat in the front lawn, like so far away in masks. And it was like, it's so weird. So it was wonderful to be able to take off your mask and know that you've been tested every other day and be able to do scenes and then put them right back on and have it feel safe, but also just like, most of the state was back on this season. So it was wonderful to have everybody there. And then all our incredible guest stars. We tried to get John and Jamie, but they have lives. So,
lives.
But it was great. It was really great. And nobody got sick and everybody had fun, and it was great.
And we'll see where it ends up. We'll see where.
Oh, well, that was one tiny little thing. Totally normal, no big deal. 3 days into shooting, just the network shut down. So that's fine. No,
Quibi said, let's rotate our business model to not existing. Existing, not existing.
They poured it all the way
out.
That's the sickest burn of the night, Watto. That is the sickest burn of the night. There's been a few good ones, but that is vicious.
Thank God we are owned by Viacom. So Viacom said, nope, don't skip a beat. Just keep moving. It's all good.
Best of luck. There's only like 80 other venues that Viacom can put it in. So I hope you guys land on your feet.
Yeah.
You were filming for safety. I hope you shot it in both aspect ratios, right? You were able, so you have it.
Yes.
Because all the other streaming platforms are going to follow that model soon. I heard Netflix is going 100% turnstile next year.
I can't say anything, but anyway.
Nope. Okay.
This is a genuine question I have. Did you find psychologically the act of performing was any different for you? Like, did you feel like you had to put sort of extra effort into disconnecting from reality when the reality we live in right now is so overwhelming and there are people all around you with masks? Or was it like you've been so cooped up that you were desperate it was easier to have an escape into something else? Or was it neither?
I would say as far as the COVID goes, it was the latter. Just so felt like liberated, like, oh, let's play. And everyone was so pent up and so positive. But don't forget that we have the extra sort of, I want to choose the right word here. We have the extra obligation of being one of the only cop shows that is moving forward at this point.
Yeah.
So we take it very seriously. And so that was more in the writing of what the scenarios were going to be, was a much bigger consideration this year. But at the end of the day, I feel like once we were there and improvising, it's the same show. It's just full on 2020, but we didn't address COVID in
that was my question.
We didn't, because Quibi had wanted us to dip in and out, and we said, you can't. Once you establish it's there, it's there. And we also felt like there's something, we've been doing this type of humor. We did the pilot for Reno in the year 2000. We've been doing these characters for 20 years. And since the beginning, we have been commenting on building the wall. We've been commenting on racism. We've been commenting on police corruption from the beginning. So none of that has changed. I feel like there's just more of a spotlight now. But as far as COVID goes, that feels super uber specific as opposed to riots and, corruption and violence and all that stuff. That's unfortunately on a longer timeline.
Yeah.
So you're saying Quibi had the wrong instinct? That they were pursuing something that was actually kind of foolhardy?
I know. No, but you know what? I would say this, they were wonderful to work with. Truly, they were like fans. They didn't know us at all.
Yeah.
They really just wanted, this to work and to give us a chance. They really sat back and let us do our thing. So
but this is another.
As someone who works with CISO, I think we know that not everything works all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
We all remember the beloved CISO.
Yes.
You brought up another point that is interesting, Kerri. You're talking about the sensitivity of doing the show and doing a comedy about police at this time, especially when most of the other cop shows are not back up and running yet.
Right.
But it is a show that is improvised. You write your outlines, but the dialogue of each scene is improvised take by take.
Correct.
Do you ever find that you do a take and then afterwards you step back and you go, oh, I guess this isn't the right tone. I guess that is misconstrued. Not that 100%. You accidentally say something offensive, but that you say something where you go, oh, there's gray area there. Like,
I wouldn't say so much as far as the offensive goes. I mean, I don't think we ever step out and go, whoa, we won't be using that, because once you're in it, you kind of know what the tone is going to be. But certainly as far as joke choice, I mean, there are definitely times when we'll sit with the editors and they'll have a first pass and we'll go, oh no, that's not.
Yeah.
No, I know. I'm pretty sure something funnier happened. And then we'll slip in something different. But as far as tone goes, I mean, we pretty much have established that not a lot has changed as far as that goes. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, the great thing
we're
is now
commenting on people's behavior. You know, it's not our voice.
Yeah. The great thing with filmmaking now, though, is that you can always take the face from one take and graft it onto the body from another take.
Well,
what's that again? Come again?
With digital filmmaking now, if you can always take the face acting from one take and graft it onto the body acting from another take, and that's a very simple thing to do.
Yeah, it's very simple to do.
Yeah, I found.
Yeah. Okay. We don't have that machine.
Do you do that? Do you do that, Reno? Do you ever
haven't done it yet, but maybe if you wanted to take a stab at
I would love
the last time I visited, I mean, I visited some of the Mandalorian set early on, but the last time I went to a non Lucasfilm TV set, I advised on the last season of Game of Thrones. People got very angry.
That's true.
About the
why
whole
did
season.
they get angry? I think that's a wonderful combination.
No, they weren't angry at me, but the public, when the season came out, they got very angry, and I couldn't help feeling that maybe that was the old Lucas magic kicking in, you know? Very often people get angry about the work that I do, and then decades later, they'll say they like it.
Right.
John,
don't take that on.
Who's your favorite Star Wars character, John?
My favorite Star Wars character?
Yeah. Or George character in general. You can go outside of Star
you can
Wars.
pick an American Graffiti.
It's interesting how Watto is giving the "I'm crazy" gesture to me. So obviously he's out. I can't, as a man with 2 Hebrew tattoos, I cannot, in good conscience, endorse Watto or his portrayal. Someone asked what my favorite.
Not even for a pound of flesh.
Someone asked what my favorite Red Tails character is. You have the most specific fans of any internet talk show.
Say Red Tails is free on YouTube for the month of November. It's normally on Disney Plus, but anybody can watch Red Tails in November, so everybody should.
I mean, I just feel like this is show and fan base working hand in hand in a way that you don't often see, and it's frankly pretty moving. The character that Amy Sedaris played on the first season of Mandalorian now, top front runner for my favorite Star Wars character.
Late breaking fandom there. Now, John, we were talking before about how Mark Hamill handles being an icon, and of course, this is Halloween weekend. I wanted to ask you, as someone who has played an iconic Halloween character, does that ever feel like a burden when the holiday comes around?
Iconic Halloween character.
I'm referring, of course, to Sister Steve in the first Halloween heist episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, I assume that anytime a guy dresses up as a nun, he's doing Sister Steve from season 1 of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Speaking of shows that have their writing cut out for them this year, they spare a thought for that staff, man. Spare a thought for the guys who went back to work around June on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That could not have been.
Well, I feel like they do have they have a hard task, but they've handled the Moo episode, handled racism within the police force, I think, with a deft touch.
No, they have. They actually. Those are the guys I'd want in charge of that, no question. But I still don't think it's easy, and I'm sure a lot of stuff got thrown out. There she is.
And they handled a guy dressing up as a nun on a Halloween episode. They handled that totally fine.
You know, it was really fun. I've talked about this before, but when I was over on Speechless, we were a member of the Disney ABC family, and those Halloween episodes were incredible because we had the rights to costumes that no other show I've ever been on got to do. We got to dress up as Star Wars characters. We got to dress up as Disney characters. I did something for ABC Family one time that for whatever reason couldn't get anything cleared, and that Halloween episode was just, princess, pirate.
Right.
Another princess.
Mouse.
But the intellectual property that was going across our screen on Speechless was astonishing. And I feel like I dressed up as, speaking of cereal, I dressed up as C-3PO for a Speechless Halloween episode. So that was really fun. But yeah, I assume that anyone who dresses up like a nun is doing Sister Steve, and I'm proud to be a part of the Halloween canon that way.
Very spooky.
John, what's the best network to work for?
You're asking someone who has worked for all of them.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
You don't even have to answer, because I understand, like, you don't want to burn any bridges, but how hard would it be if you didn't have to tell us? Do you have a rank in your mind of the networks, and does it change? Like, is there a network that if you heard from them, you would be more excited about without even thinking about it? You'd be like, oh yes, this network, versus, oh no, my least favorite network.
Dude, I'm going to say what is going to sound like the most pandering thing in the world.
Do not say you love all networks equally. They're not your
pandering to this particular show.
Planet Scum is your number one favorite network?
It's Planet Scum. It's Planet Scum.
Bryson, baby!
Bought my car, and I'm eternally grateful. No, I had a really good time working for ABC, because we had they kind of put us at gunpoint. They're like, you guys have to do when I was on Speechless, you have to do a Last Jedi themed episode. And we did a crazy contrivance where the Cerebral Palsy Foundation is giving away tickets to the Last Jedi premiere. It was a massive stretch.
No,
but somebody on our show put their foot down, and we're like, okay, but you've got to pay the piper. So we all got to go to the Last Jedi premiere.
Whoa!
Which was awesome. I genuinely love that movie. It's, with all due respect, George, I mean you no harm, but it's the rare Star Wars film where the entire plot doesn't revolve around, hey, that thing over there, we have to blow that up. And
that is what you're right. That is what almost all Star Wars films, that is how you solve the problem. It's also how you solve the problem in most things that I've done. You gotta blow up the big thing.
But there's nothing that gets blown up in American Graffiti or in Last Jedi. Last Jedi is a heist movie. It's a con movie.
Cars blow up. There's a big car race in American Graffiti.
All right, the car crash gets blown up. Yes, there's me, and I got to take my kids.
Look at that.
Yeah.
I got to take my kids, and I got to wear my Stay on Target shirt. And yeah, that was a seismic event in our household, because whenever a movie came out after that, my kids asked, that looks like a good movie. Can we go to the premiere?
Wow.
Because Los Angeles children are the worst people in the world. They're the worst. I grew up in Manhattan, and LA kids are the biggest douchebags I've ever seen.
John, I can't stop thinking about this hypothesis you put forward.
What is it?
What?
Well, that almost every Star Wars movie ends with a large explosion. It's like a Big Bang Theory you're presenting.
That is a Big Bang Theory.
It's sort of a Big Bang Theory.
That's pretty. It is pretty fucking snide, Watto.
Big Bang Theory.
It is sort of a Big Bang Theory.
Not a Big Bang Theory, you smug prick.
Thank you.
I do think something does get blown up at the end of The Last Jedi, and I believe it was the minds of a bunch of ungrateful incels.
Yeah, whiny babies.
Right? I believe that is what blew up at the end.
Yeah, all you got to do is check any Twitter account with 12 letters at the end, and you can see some shit blew up.
Yeah. I did just get Wattoed. Also, the Dreadnought. Okay, thank you. I think there were quite a few virgins who got hit in the exhaust port from Last Jedi.
The whole dome was over.
That's the one right below the main port, right?
I believe so.
John, I have a question. It's 2020, and a lot of people are doing cast reunions or where are they nows with their characters to say, hey, what are these people doing in quarantine? What are they doing during the pandemic? And I want to know, where's Rory from Santa Claus 3: The Escape Clause?
Oh,
I
great
think
question.
we're all
Where is
wondering
Rory?
that.
Yeah.
Hashtag where is Rory?
He is as ever waiting for the checks that show up in February. He is he I'll say this. Here's what they cut from that movie, and I did it several times to make sure they would have a chance to get it. So in Santa Claus 3, the crown jewel in the franchise, we're all in agreement on that, right?
Yeah.
Third time's the
In
charm.
Santa Claus 3, I play, this is another alternate universe thing, I play Tim Allen's assistant if he had never become Santa Claus and lived a dark, dreary, depressing life where he worked on Christmas Eve.
Scott Calvin. We can say Scott Calvin.
Scott Calvin.
He's Scott Calvin. He's Bob Cratchit. He's just basically the guy who goes, but we always work on Christmas Eve, sir. And Tim Allen has this sort of incredible epiphany and really comes together and realizes that he's got to turn his life around. And he runs out of the room and says, Merry Christmas. And I gave them 3 takes where I screamed, Good Yontif after him. And they didn't use one of them.
Not even in the DVD extras?
No, and I'm not mentioned in the commentary, and Lord knows I checked.
I mean,
Director Michael Lembeck does not mention me in the commentary for Santa Claus 3. You want to talk about your ingrates?
I don't want to draw too much of a line here, but you tried to get Good Yontif into Santa Claus 3. Disney says no go. Disney buys Star Wars. How many films has Watto been in since then? Feels like a pattern to me.
There's something.
Now, Kerri, do you feel like you've played 2 different characters on Disney's Puppy Dog Pals?
Of course.
First of all, do you think you'll be returning to that universe? And also, I do feel like in the same way that the Disney does like to merge the things that they own. I feel like there's if I was given the keys to the castle, so to speak, I'd start bringing some of those Puppy Dog Pals into the Star Wars universe because they're pretty cute.
Also, follow-up question: is the Puppy Dog Pals universe going to acknowledge the pandemic?
Interesting. Yeah. And the riots.
Yeah.
They must. I mean, it's a space they have where Paw Patrol doesn't have the leverage to comment on it. They're in too deep. Paw Patrol is propaganda.
Paw Patrol's getting all the attention. And frankly, they're a cop show. They should be canceled. Just kidding. We still watch Paw Patrol over here, and
but it's not going to be the same. You can't watch it the same way as before.
Okay, that's true.
Whereas Puppy Dog Pals, I feel like is almost evergreen.
It's timeless. Yes. Again, I actually am doing a couple episodes coming up. I'd like to say
this is
side
an exclusive. This is an exclusive. We're making some news here.
Oh my God! I'm checking the trending topics on Twitter. It's number 1.
I hope that Deadline is watching.
I didn't even know we had this graphic. Someone just put it up.
Unbelievable.
We'll be returning to Puppy Dog Pals.
Oh my God, my Twitter is blowing up.
Oh no.
Kerri,
new characters or recurring? It's still coming back.
Side note: these are some really interesting things that you're peeling out of my IMDb.
Yeah.
So Puppy Dog Pals, yes, I am doing a couple more, and I don't know. I don't know if we're talking about the pandemic or not. I suspect not. Although I was so pleased to see that Sesame Street did something on it and just made me weep on the floor.
Yeah.
Did you see their CNN? They did a CNN town hall thing for children.
Yeah, they've done a couple of those this year. Very, very.
I heard it was excellent. I didn't see it.
Oh my God, it got me so hard. It was just something that was on in the kitchen, and then all of a sudden I realized, oh my God, this is really happening. It was early. And we have to talk to these kids about and this is anyway. I just thought I would really bring it down. Make it dark.
It's all we've been talking about. We talk about it every week. So,
okay.
Kerri, I have to do my due diligence here because the George Lucas talk show likes to operate on a Raisin Bran principle.
Okay.
Gotta get 2 scoops. So we know that you're returning for a couple more episodes of Puppy Dog Pal. I understand your NDAs might be tight as a drum.
Very tight. They're very. My lawyer is just off camera here.
He's
always with me now on interviews in case I spill the beans about
he's
another
in your
puppy dog.
He's in your pod. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in my pod.
Will not sign a release to come on camera though. He will not sign a release.
No,
He's
he
always
won't.
off camera.
No.
I'm just curious, when it comes to the world of PDP
Yes.
and the couple of episodes you have coming up.
Sure. Also, just might be one, but that's okay.
Okay, might be one.
We don't know.
But
We don't know.
As George said, you played 2 characters in the universe so far.
Right.
Played
One was
Tula and
right,
the
one was a
instructor.
yoga teacher. The other was, I want to say, a turtle.
Right.
Go
Tula
on.
the turtle and the yoga instructor.
Mhm.
Can you say, and you don't have to give us specifics, will you be reprising one of those characters or adding a new character to the show?
Listen, I'm doing a whole other talk show circuit after this about this. And if I give it away here, Wendy Williams is going to be pissed.
I wish the publicist had told me that.
You know,
We could
I'm sorry. My publicist is also here off camera just doing this.
Oh my God.
So my hands are tied on this one,
Okay.
you guys.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I got it.
Patrick, just a reminder, we should try to book Sam Lavagino to come on the show.
Sure.
Sometime soon. The voice of Raleigh on Puppy Dog Pals. I'm just saying. If Kerri's kind of a brick wall now, maybe we need to get our.
He's hard to get. He's very tight-lipped, but if you get a couple in him, he's
right. I mean, look.
Yeah.
Maybe Isaac Ryan Brown is a little bit looser with the lips. I'm happy to get scoops from Bingo the dog.
I don't know. Some of them are like 11.
Yeah.
Both of the people I just listed for.
Yeah. Okay. They're probably watching this.
Yeah, I don't know if we want any 11-year-olds interacting with Watto. That just feels like a recipe for that.
That's
I own in that area. I own that demographic.
Yeah. Kids love you.
Yeah.
So, wait, John, we moved past it, but what was The Last Jedi premiere like? How was that? Because that's a huge undertaking. That's a huge ordeal.
It was awesome. It was really, really fun. I'd never been to I've only been to like 5 premieres in my life, if that. And but it was really it was very festive. They had an AT-AT that you could take pictures underneath. I took my little kids to a Star Wars movie that they got to see before all of their friends, and they were probably dicks about it. It was magical. It was they came out and Rian Johnson gave a speech, and we met. It was really awesome because they did it at the Shrine Auditorium in downtown LA, which is huge. So they could fit tons of people in there, and all the kids from Stranger Things were there. So my kids lost their minds, and we got a shot of my kids with Gadden Matarazzo, and it was just one thing after another. It was really fun. It was one of those things where like, oh, every once in a while Hollywood works. This is nice.
Yeah, that's great.
Watto, people in the chat want you to tell John and Kerri about detours. And I should show them. I did get a shirt this week made from Bring to Noise that says Release Detours, and that is what I'm wearing. This is something that gets stuck in Watto's craw, and he likes to bring it up sometimes.
Okay, I would like to hear about it.
I'm worried about bringing this up because this might get a little sensitive, especially.
You're missing 6 candles on your Hanukkah there, Watto.
No, this is.
Oh, I'm sorry.
A special Halloween candelabra. Kerri, I'm going to tell you a spooky story.
Okay.
John, it will be spooky for you as well, but Kerri, you speak right now of shooting a season of Reno 911 and Viacom saying, don't worry, we'll find someone to release it later, right?
Yes.
Well, sometimes things go wrong in Hollyweird. It was a dark and stormy night, roughly 10 years ago, when George, in his parlor, looked out the window and was struck suddenly with inspiration. It is time for me to make a new TV show, like Star Wars, but very funny. And so George ran to his boudoir and took out the checkbook and wrote a check, as he said, I will take no network notes, no studio interference. I will put my money where my mouth is and staff a room to write 39 episodes of an animated TV series called Star Wars Detours. It's full of jokes and comedy. And people said, but George, who has given you the green light for such a show? And George said, I make my own green light. So they were off to the races, cracking story after story, one funny premise after another. Count Dooku and Darth Maul fight to get on the Sith insurance plan. You and these are perfect. My only concern is they might be too funny. Hire the animators, animate them up, and so they did. Hire the voice actors. Let's put this stuff on record. And so he did, and the episodes were locked like a coffin in a graveyard. But then one night, a very spooky creature crept through the window and into the Skywalker Ranch, and that creature was named Mickey Mouse. And while George was sleeping, he stole Lucasfilm and left behind only $6 billion. And George cried and cried and cried, my beloved baby Star Wars stolen from me in the night. The only saving grace, the only thing that gives me some relief is the knowledge that Disney loves releasing animation. They have stolen 39 completed episodes of my TV show, but of course they won't release them. Kerri.
Don't tell me. I can't. Don't tell me.
Where do you think those episodes are today?
I'm afraid. I think no one's seen them. They're in a drawer.
They're on a shelf.
They're on a shelf.
They're on a shelf in the Disney vault. It's been a decade.
No.
39 episodes in the middle of a pandemic. There is a finished Star Wars TV show that no one has seen, that has been on a shelf for a decade. They could put it on Disney Plus with the push of a button, but they choose not to. So, Kerri, I wish you all the best. And I have only the greatest hopes for Reno 911 finding a new home. But it would not be a Hallowata without me warning you of the potential horrible outcome.
It's a very real possibility. The comparisons between Reno 911 and what you just described,
Star Wars
an
Detours.
animated show about Star Wars.
Yes, about mostly set in a diner.
It's almost like, which one are you talking? Like, it's like,
Right.
now
and they're both funny. That's another thing.
Funny.
They both have a lot of comedy in them.
They take risks.
they're based on reality.
What's exciting though is because it starts with an S, it's going to be on the same shelf as Son of the South. So that's got to mean something.
John,
At least that
important,
shelf
right?
is warm.
John, that's
Good
not
company, right?
That's not okay.
Warm shelf.
Wow.
That's not okay, John.
Yeah,
Look,
I
it
should
could
probably
happen.
go.
You got to go. You got to get out of here,
Happen.
John.
Yeah, fair enough.
No
Okay.
doubt.
Yeah, the chat just says John, all caps, John.
John.
That's my cue.
John.
I'm
John.
sorry, John. We have to
John.
kick you out.
Yeah, that's fair. I apologize very much. I love you all a great deal. Kerri, good to see you.
John, thank
George,
you.
big fan. Patrick, big fan.
Thank you,
Big fan
John.
of your
Happy
show.
Hallowato.
Are you
Happy
ending your
Halloween.
life or just you're leaving?
Yeah, this is it. This
Oh.
is it. Yeah.
Wow, it's an
Yeah,
honor.
remember
That
me.
coming.
Wow.
Remember, be kind. Okay.
Okay.
Get ready to post photos that you have of me. Take care now.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye, John.
Look,
Oh.
Kerri, like
God.
Wow.
Like
wearing
many
shorts
spooky
during the
stories.
show. That I think
Like
we got
many-
another exclusive. Just in
he
the
likes to
last
wear
few
that.
minutes.
John,
Now let's
we
really
just go-
talk about John.
Now we can talk about John.
What was that?
Crazy.
Crazy.
You guys saw it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a
was
direct.
that?
The camera moved down just straight for the legs, the bare legs.
I thought he was going to pull a tubing on
A
us.
tubin.
Right.
Yes.
Now,
There
Kerri,
was that trademark tilting of the monitor.
Classic
Right.
Cuban tilt.
you
The
know
Cuban
John.
tilt.
You know John maybe a little bit better personally than we do. Like we've met him before, but you're buds. Is
Yes.
this normal behavior for him, or was that a
Oh,
first?
he's out of his mind right now.
Yeah.
I don't know what that whole interview was.
Yeah.
Fucking
I-
fucking
like I
Adam, the
don't
guy
even
was
know him
passing
anymore.
out. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So many bare legs on camera in that shot. I thought we were
I
watching
know.
the Country Bears film.
Yeah. John Ross Boobin,
Yeah.
as people are saying.
Yeah.
That's trending.
No, I love John. He and his wife and his whole family.
Yeah.
I adore them.
Look,
he's-
Kerri, it's fine. Just you can put that in past tense. You loved John,
loved
but the
that. I
man
loved the
on the
old
show
John.
tonight was not John. That was not the same John that you
No.
knew and loved.
It's like the zombie movie when someone gets bitten and you're like, this isn't the person you loved anymore. They're
not.
gone.
Right.
It's not. He's gone. That John is gone.
It's just hard to let go.
Yeah.
Like an hour ago, I knew him
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
pretty
I
well.
feel like we all did. I feel like we were all
Right.
getting it.
and
getting
now
going
this.
better.
Well,
Such a shame. Now,
Kerri,
Kerri, you're in the most interesting time on the show.
Yeah.
It's
should I?
I
Oh,
mean,
it's not-
All right,
I don't know what you kids are doing on the
That's-
web these days.
no, it's when one guest has left and then the other guest has to decide how much longer they want to stay.
Oh no, rest assured, I'm hopping off in a hot second
Oh wow.
because I have a 15-year-old that has been texting me for 10 minutes. I'm
Yeah.
hungry.
I get it.
Because it would be
Wow.
ridiculous to imagine him standing up and walking over to where the food is kept.
Yeah.
Have you
You'd have to
responded to
take
any
off
of these texts saying I'm hungry?
I have not,
If-
because that
if-
would open a can of worms.
Is there
Wow.
anything, if you could respond right now and you could say anything you wanted in response to the text, I'm hungry, what would you say? If you had, imagine you had total freedom.
Wow, that's
Someone wants you just to respond with me too.
yeah, and it's true,
great
by
one.
the way. That is a great response.
Yeah.
Get in line, join the club.
You should make us some dinner. You could say that to him.
Yeah, that's right. My
Yeah.
friends here are also hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is for dinner?
Yeah, what do you
Right.
think they want?
Oh, you're
to
asking
eat?
me?
I'm
what
asking you.
dinner?
No, I'm asking you.
Oh, I don't know because I literally just walked in the house after
Yeah.
2 weeks of being away
Right.
from shooting.
Sure.
So I saw him for 5 seconds. I handed him a bag of Halloween candy, and now I'm on with you people.
You're on the
Thank you for
clock.
coming on.
You go
So-
from 2 weeks of filming to America's
Yeah.
most difficult talk show.
It's
You've been
true,
working
and
overtime.
I'm probably going to get Mom of the Year.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, does he have a favorite food? Or now, are we to assume you said you gave him a bag of Halloween candy? Are we to assume that he ate that candy and did not sate his appetite, or that he rejected the candy? This is not a meal.
He's not
If
a
you
good
get him any
liar.
bad.
He's not a good liar. So I don't
Mhm.
think that he's had any candy bars that look like teeth or bat shaped candy. I think he's saving it, and I think right now he's really hoping for. It's probably going to be soup tonight, guys. I'm not
Okay.
going to lie to you. Soup and spinach.
I mean,
Carrie,
the
should we play a
classic.
Halloween? Shall we play a Halloween prank? What
Yeah.
if you respond? Or do you have apples in your house?
We do.
What if you what if you responded to that text by saying we're having apples for dinner tonight?
Okay. I see.
How would
I
that go
see-
over? Would that prank would that scare him?
That's some
You
prank.
said we're having apples for dinner.
Apples
That's some
plural.
prank. And you did. It was a comedy cartoon.
Yeah,
Very
I've been a lot of. This is one of the highest grossing comedies.
No, I've seen it. It's
budget
fantastic. It
comedy.
was-
Comedy,
I have seen them.
Yeah.
That
I do comedy.
I've seen that one.
right?
Kerri,
I'm
what-
hang on. We got some breaking news. This just came in. It's from Deadline.
It's from
Puppy
Deadline.
dog
Kerri
house.
Kenney,
What do we have?
Kerri Kenney Silver to return to Puppy Dog's house, unknown if she will reprise beloved roles.
wow.
Oh my goodness.
Who wrote
Wow.
the?
What are
Whose
the
byline? Whose
odds?
byline is this?
Whose byline is this? It's
Alessandra
from
Barra-
Alexandra de Rosario.
Wow.
There you go.
Wow.
Is she related to Rosario Dawson, I
Oh,
wonder?
look at the top. Breaking news: Star Wars Detour still has not been released.
Wait, and go even further up. Save an average of $536 when you switch to State Farm Auto Insurance.
No.
Big news
Like a
night.
good neighbor.
That's crazy.
Guys.
So Kerri,
Wow.
Kerri, if you want to weaponize that text, you could text back right now and say we're having apples for dinner.
Apples for dinner. No, I got that. I'm
You
gonna
could
save that
also-
one for another night, George,
Yeah.
because he's very hungry.
Yeah.
And he hasn't seen his mom in 2 weeks, so it's like I don't want to like just add the
Starting
like,
off.
just one more.
Yeah.
Right.
Also,
It is
it's
a
not-
great. It is a
yeah.
great one. I'm gonna save it.
It's a great prank, but
It's
maybe
not
Halloween, maybe
festive.
too intense for Halloween after you just
Too
come out of
intense
the pod.
Too intense for after the pod.
All right.
Maybe you want to blindfold him, make some spaghetti, put it in a bowl, tell him to stick his fingers in it, and then say it's worms or some shit.
Well,
And then do the same with grapes and say it's like witches' eyeballs or fucking
right
something.
before I left for this pod, my husband actually in real life cut off the end of his finger right before I left, cutting a photo. And so I could do a bit like one of these bowls of spaghetti has daddy's finger in it.
Right.
Wow.
And if you
Yeah,
guess it,
finger.
then you get candy.
Right. So you'll do that bit, but my apples text you said was too intense.
It's
No,
too
no, that bit I'm just saving when I'm out of bits. And he's like, she's out of bits. This bitch is 50. She's been
No.
doing this a long time.
No,
She's
she
done
put the
every
bit in the
like,
word bitch.
several
That's
times.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, bam, you ain't
Yeah.
seen that
You
this
ain't seen
bit.
nothing yet.
Apples. How do you like them
For
apples?
dinner.
You like
Yeah.
you like them apples.
Yeah.
I would like to ask
Plural
people in the chat. You can also just randomly text someone you care about and say we're having apples for dinner tonight.
Yeah.
Just a
If
fun
anyone
thing
in the
to
chat
text
wants to
someone.
do that, it's funny.
They're gonna
Yeah.
be
I'm
like,
sorry.
what? For dinner?
This is supposed to be a bat?
Also looks like a dropping of some sort.
Yeah.
It looked like the ET cereal.
Listen, you guys, I gotta go.
You gotta go.
You gotta go,
I mean,
Kerri.
when you gotta
Kerri,
go, you gotta go.
You gotta
Yeah.
go. You gotta go.
Just do us a
Guys,
favor. Don't exit like John did, because that was too much.
Don't tube in it.
Don't
Don't
tube in
tube
it,
in it.
please.
Okay.
Tilt up. Tilt the
Go up.
screen up
Yeah.
when you leave.
Right.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I've got porn on my ceiling.
Oh,
so
no.
that would be,
Oh, it's okay.
Oh, Los Angeles.
inappropriate.
Ugh.
Carrie,
All
thank
right.
you for coming on.
Thank you for
Kerri.
having me.
Super fun.
Happy Halloween
I'll see you
weekend.
guys tomorrow night, I guess. Is it the same
Yeah,
tomorrow
see you
time?
tomorrow.
Same
Yeah,
same time, same place.
Great.
Yeah.
same place.
Okay.
Same link.
All right. Bye, Carrie.
Happy
Thank
Halloween.
you guys. Happy Halloween. God bless us,
Everyone.
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 And she's gone. Just like that, she's gone.
Just like and like
That's how a pro exits.
Not
Not
pro.
not any of that Bowie
hard
bullshit.
cut. Hard cut.
Unbelievable. I
Hand
mean,
down to the legs.
is he trying to get our show canceled?
I don't know. He said we
They
were
are
on his
deep.
favorite network. It could be that he's trying to end the network so no one else can have the same. You know, if he can't have it, no one will. Sort of. You know. What I
George,
mean?
what if he's angling for our slot?
Oh, could be.
I
He
hope not.
loves Planet Scum so much he wants Sundays at 8 p.m.
Right. I mean, it's
We
possible.
can't. We can't. I don't want to give that to him.
Yeah.
Right? He
You-
knows Googie Morning is invincible. It's
Right.
it's never going to get
Take
canceled.
that.
Never.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to see him try.
George, put your knife away.
What do you mean?
Oh
What knife?
no.
George. This is officially my least favorite recurring character.
Oh no.
The George
Wait,
Lucas
this is
talk show.
actually a good time. George,
What?
we put together a video. I'm gonna play it now because it was a sad week last
Right.
week.
Yeah.
A brutal week.
It was a brutal week. You killed a lot of our friends, George.
Some of our
Yeah.
best friends.
And we put this
I will also
together.
point out last week was the first time any of you referred to those as your friends.
No, they were our friends. the whole
What?
time. I'm gonna
Watch the tapes.
All
The
right.
Here-
only way, George, the only way to prove that we never referred to them as our friends before is to watch all 100 hours of the George Lucas talk show now on
Fine.
YouTube.
Fine. I
Way
got
more than
I
that
got-
one. No, way more than that.
120?
way more. Up.
Who?
I think
We
we're
tapped-
close. I think
we
we're probably
tapped
close
the-
to 2.
We're close to
What?
200. Yeah.
What?
We're
a
we're
use
tubing.
of our
We're
time.
tubing.
What?
Hey George,
Yeah.
I want you to watch this and think about what you've done.
Okay.
Who's that? George!
George!
George,
Come
this
on,
is
man.
not too soon, George.
Come on, George.
George, you murder our friends. The least you can do is not wear them for sport.
George.
Darth Mask, George. You've become such a bad boy, George.
That was a good video.
You're like Logan Paul. You're doing these outrageous stunts online for attention, George. Constantly chasing that clout, George.
You
throwing parties at your con. Slicing an apple with a knife, George. Slices an apple with his knife.
What a creep. What a creep. Watto, this last week, did it make you rethink George? Because it made me think a lot about George.
I think George has become a creep.
I think he's become a creep.
You know what we never...
Is this a new one?
This is a new knife? This motherfucker. This knife-obsessed motherfucker. This guy is lousy with knives.
George.
George. Slice an apple with a Davy Crockett knife.
George, I'm going to say it again. You're a creep.
Creep. I can't believe George has become the bad boy of the George Lucas talk show.
I feel like, yeah, I don't know. It's great.
I mean, because Watto was the original problematic Faith, and Patatouille is a basic bitch who lives for the drama.
Hey, George. It feels like the energy feels very different now. And it feels like the show is done.
No way.
I think so. At least this part of the show, George.
Oh, I thought you meant the show as a whole. I'm like,
no, just this part. Just this part.
But what other part would there be?
Oh,
I mean, yeah, George.
Thanks.